Hello and welcome to the DJ Force 10 in Conversation podcast, episode 140. My special guest on today's show is Leigh, the frontman from US rock band Pop Evil, and it was an absolutely fantastic chat. It was. You're about to find out very shortly anyway. But we cover a lot of things. I mean, Pop Evil I've been a fan of for a while. It sort of grew, they grew into my attention when I was living in America, and they're on the local rock station 98 Rock in Tampa Bay, and they're on rotation. Kept hearing tracks like Footsteps and Torn to Pieces. My kids knew the songs, and I became a fan of the band just through that. And they got two brand new singles right now. One is called Work, one is called Let the Chaos Reign, and they're both fantastic. You can go see the lyric videos on YouTube right now. You can go stream them on various services and whatnot, what you get your music from. But yeah, apart from that, again, thank you for everyone that's been downloading the show. It's been absolutely fantastic this whole week, and I'm very excited to bring you yet another week next week of podcasts. I've just filled up that week, which is great, and I've got more interviews coming as all the time, and it's great. These bands wanting to talk, and my DJ series, I've got some fantastic DJs lined up for that. On this Friday, I've got DJ, or actually tomorrow, I should say, I've got DJ Rasp on the show, which is absolutely fantastic. And then next week, I'm going to have a radio DJ on there who I'm interviewing tonight, which is going to be great. So, yeah, lots to look forward to. I also got a lot of bands coming up as well, so don't worry about that. I'm still sticking with the sort of heavy bands, but I'm sort of delving into more of my hobbies and whatnot on that side. But yeah, without much further ado, I present to you Leigh of Pop Evil. Enjoy. I'd like to welcome to the show today a very special guest. I have Leigh. He is the frontman of the US band Pop Evil. Welcome, Leigh.
Great, man. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely no problem. All the pleasure is all over this side. Like I was saying before I hit record, I am a fan of the band. I moved to the States back in 2012 and, listened to rock radio religiously for the first couple of years I was there because I wasn't able to work. So,
sure.
Like between that and looking after my kids, I sort of got into you guys. I heard, I think it was Trenches was the first track I heard of you guys.
Yeah.
I think that was from your 2013 album, Onyx, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then Footsteps, which is the huge one. That was like constantly on rotation. But also heard Torn to Pieces as well. That was another one. A nice slow number.
For sure.
And I'll go for another one. Waking Lions, which is a bit more recent.
Yeah, more recent.
Yeah, and just those tracks and like listening to you guys, listen to like it was I like my kid knew the words to Torn to Pieces. Like
I love it.
She was like 5-6 years old, and I could hear her in the back seat singing along, and it was just it was that and Shine Down. She just loved. So it was brilliant. So like I say, like I am a fan of the band first and foremost. So there might be a bit of ass kissing in this interview.
No, it's all good. All good, man. But, no stress.
Yeah, no. So I mean, I don't know if you've been to the UK before or not. That's the only thing I'm sort of like sketchy on. I don't know.
Yeah, we've been several times. So
okay, cool.
I mean, we're still fairly new in a way, but we've done the what is it, Download Festival?
Oh, yep.
We've done that. We've done the headline circuit as well. Just recently, as last touring season, I think we were there last year. I remember I had a what do you call it? It was real sick, man, with like my voice was just really hurting me that particular tour. That's probably why I remember it so much. But we got through it. It was good. The fans were incredible, and It was awesome.
Cool. Well, I was just like I said, I didn't manage to catch you live in Tampa. You came through a few times to like the St. Pete area, and into Tampa and stuff as well, and just sort of outside, you know, the usual sort of tour spots out that way. I was never able to catch you guys live, which was really like a shame because I like going to gigs, and if you play
that's what we're known for too, man, is the live show.
Yeah, but I mean, I got to enjoy you guys on radio, and I actually bought up the album.
That's
as
awesome.
well. So I actually own a piece of your music as well, which is somewhere in my collection behind me.
I love it.
But yeah, no, we're here to talk about. You got a couple of new songs out.
Yes,
you've got a track called "Work," which is the first one I heard when it got sent through to me. It's great track, quite sort of like slow and methodic, if you get me, and it's very, very it gets very heavy towards the end as well.
For sure.
It was a great track, and Let the Chaos Reign, which was kind of a bit more sort of in your face rock, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just waiting to talk about those tracks. Actually, I mean, like, obviously it's leading up to an album at some point, but obviously with the world the way it is, what exactly are your sort of like? I mean, if you have any, because a lot of bands that I've spoken to don't really have any like concrete plans, but what are the sort of plans around them?
The concrete plans are tough. You know, I mean, we were really going hardcore there in Los Angeles to finish this record. And of course, the mayor decided they were going to shut down the city. So I decided to come back to Michigan, which is where I'm from, to be with friends and family if I was going to be quarantined. And again, we still don't know how long it's going to be for. So I wanted to be with loved ones and make sure everyone's safe, obviously. And now as the U.S. and things are starting to reopen, it'll be interesting now how we can go about getting this final touches done on this album. But even still, you know, to release it, I mean, there's a lot of variables. Obviously, you want to release new music with tours around it. So it'll be interesting. You know, there's a lot of discussions we'll have to have with the managers and the label and the booking agents and just try to focus on, number one, keeping everyone safe and healthy. We do have a female drummer from the UK there. She's in London. So to be able to fly her back here whenever we're allowed to, you know, cross border, so to speak, again, that'll be another thing to discuss. We obviously want to play with her rather than just start here and bring in some temporary drummer for a couple of weeks till we can get her back. So that's a bit of a challenge as well. So there's a lot of variables when we discuss the actual release of the album. But right now we feel very fortunate we were able to get these two songs out and kind of stay as planned. Again, Pop Evil, I think the more as we continue to grow, we really try to just really show the brand as the duality. We're one of the rare bands, if the only one, that can really swing for the polar opposite of the left and then come to the total other end of the spectrum and go right, you know, and to really release those two singles right off the bat is our way of showing the fan base that, look, you know, today's musical world is very it's very unique, right? It's very social media, it's streaming based. It's all about singles. I mean, albums are, who knows if they're going to be around for how much longer they're going to be around. So albums are Yep. So again, you don't even go to CD stores or music stores anymore and see us on shelves. There is no shelf. Where's the section you put us in? It's like one section and it's music, you know, it's all there. So it's an opportunity, I think, more than ever for bands to be more creative. And you know, back in the day, and in the heyday, as they used to call it, there, you know, one big single can change your life. You know, now you have to be more creative. One big single gets on, you know, it gets on the radio, or it gets on Radio 1 or something like that. You're changed, you know. But here, you have to be more creative. I mean, those spots are limited, right? Otherwise, they would play all of us on those primetime spots. But you have to be more creative as a band, I think, to find your own opportunity to bring in new audiences, right? And to do that, it's very challenging because we play in this genre that has a saying that is rock and roll is dead. I mean, what the heck is that? When I hear that, I think it's so important to get offended, and not offended necessarily for me, but get offended for the fans. That is a direct slap in the face to people that go to the Download Festival. There's 100,000 people go to that. What do you mean rock and roll is dead? You know what I mean? It's such a ludicrous, horrible concept that it's kind of we almost say it and laughable and we blow it off. That's not cool. Like, that's so important. I think that it gets out there in the secular world and people write us off. I mean, if you look in the United States, I mean, last time I checked, rappers are winning rock and roll Grammys. I mean, it makes no sense. Like, there's barely, you know, and it reminds me of like, we can take a lesson of what the country genre has done for years. They didn't care. They used to get blown off, right? Like, you think about the 80s and 90s, no one cared about country, but there was obviously a very strong community for it. It was very big, and they had their own award shows, the CMAs. They did their own thing. They said, look, you don't want nothing to do with us. We're going to set up right here in Nashville, and we're going to make our own thing. And now, of course, this is a very secular market. It's come around full circle. Now it's all about country. Country pretty much is pop music. So that's cool. But the thing is, rock has to take some lessons from some of these things. Like, why do we have to – number one, we're always so hard on people for changing. Whenever bands go a different direction, we always abandon, oh, that's horrible. Why are they doing that? They should keep, you know, it's like we want Metallica to do Saint Anger over and over and over again. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's what makes it so unique, because it's that moment in time. That's what it is. And even Metallica could never do it again. It's already been done, right? So yes, we want we want guitars and we want it heavy. And we did that from Pop Evil's perspective with Let the Chaos Reign. We even went heavier we've ever gone in our career. And we'll continue to do that. It's just in those early days, we trying to break the band. Our back when we started, our big out, we've always been a radio band. So, our radio didn't play the heavier stuff back then. Yeah. Now with bands like Five Finger Death Punch, Bring Me the Horizon, even, there's more heavy elements that are okay to do. I mean, if you look at Shinedown, they're not even as heavy as Five Finger and Bring Me. They've had to evolve in different directions too. And Shinedown's one of the biggest, and I've had many discussions with Zach Myers from Shinedown and that about how it's evolving, and they've been able to, evolve in ways that's similar to Pop Evil, that they're taking other elements from other genres of music. And again, we do that too. We've always done that. We've taken elements from all these different great genres and we put our own Pop Evil spin on it. And the link between them all has been the melodic, vocal range of my voice. That's what it is. I mean, I think I'm screaming more than I ever have on this new record, and it's awesome. I had to teach myself pretty much how to scream. We never did that growing up where I was growing up. It was just all about, if you could sing, that's what you needed to do. Nice. But nowadays, the screaming element is there's such a beauty to it. There's such an art to it. Now the metal is more infused in mainstream as far as rock is concerned than ever before. So there's a lot of borrowing from each genre. There's a lot of rock elements in metal. There's a lot of meta elements in rock. And I think that's awesome, because the more we team up together, and you think about like Download and some of these big festivals that are in the UK, and I know there's tons without naming them all, but the Download is the one we played, that there's so many influence from rock bands and metal on these lineups, and that's awesome. There's a chance for us both to kind of piggyback off each other and remind people that rock and roll is very much alive and well, and we doing it together, so again, there's so many things I could talk about that, again, I try to study it. We're studier of it. The music is such a small portion of it nowadays. You're always thinking about ways to, bring more people. Because, again, how many times have you heard people say this to you? It's like, oh, I don't really like this kind of music, but I like your band. I'm like, well, what kind of what's that? Yeah. What do you mean by that? What do you mean? That must mean you do like rock bands, because if you like our band, there's plenty of other good bands like us that are out there. You know what I mean? Like, if you give it a chance, and I think what a lot of secular fans don't understand is the pop world, whatever genre is in that pop world, they are all about here today, gone tomorrow. But for rock fans, those are for life, right? Like, think about it. We're still talking about Metallica. They're still relevant. Yep. We're still talking about Judas Priest. We're still talking about, look, we just toured with Cheap Trick and Poison. I mean, my God, these bands are still around and they're still doing it. The last time I went to some mall, all I see is old school bands. What about the new bands? But still, again, the good thing I take out of that is you can have a career for a very long time because your fans, rock fans, metal fans, they are so passionate. And again, that's the beauty. It's just that I think as fans of this genres that we love, we have to be more open for them to find more ways to bring in other fans, right? Songs like Work That I'd, songs like Footsteps. There's no big heavy rock guitars for like a minute in that song. It was very experimental at the time. Who would have thought, But again, we empower it with the lyrics. We make sure we keep it uplifting, because that's the one thing great about rock songs that have stood the test of time is they're inspirational, man. You think about this pandemic we're in. Doctors can't even help. Nobody has any answers, at least from the U.S. perspective. Nobody. And the last time I watched any TV about the U.K., we're all kind of in the same boat. There's no answers. Nobody knows. But what has stayed consistent? Music. Music's been there the whole time for us. It's there motivating us to stand strong, stand together, stand united, less divided. And that's the beauty, I think, of music. And again, I think the older we get, and the longer we're able to do this, the more responsible I feel to put that positivity out in the world, to set people, let them know that, look, again, we might be new to a lot, but we've still been here now over almost 15 years. We've been doing this to the people that do know Pop Evil and the people that will continue to find us, that, hey, man, we're not going anywhere. We're going to put out positivity. We're going to try to embrace you. If you like it, great. If you don't, guess what? We're going to try to get you next song. We're going to try to get you when you see us live. Yeah. We're not going anywhere. We're going to keep fighting to put out music to get somebody to our show. And once they see it and hear the old catalog, they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I do know this song. Wait, I do like this band. Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. Next thing you know, that they become true rock and they're born again rockers, So again, there's a strategy and a method to the madness that you can't just blame someone else. You can't blame radio. You can't blame TV for not playing it. Everybody and every artistic channel is trying to evolve to be creative for themselves, and you have to do that as a band for yourself and create ways to bring more fans to your shows. And you can't do that by writing the same song over and over. I mean, that's just not who we are. That's never who we want it to be. And we have to always be striving to write better music that can be more relatable to those peaks and valleys of life. I think that the more we can relate our music to life, the better we feel off the stage. And I think the more the people really cling to our band.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you've got in the sort of like the songs that I named earlier, the ones that I kind of discovered you guys with, they're all they're all different. They're not like your same kind of like rock song. They do have their own merits, their own sort of style to them. They're all within the kind of rock genre, but there's a sort of there's Torn to Pieces, which is more like sort of the ballady side of things. Right. It's got that slow kind of like build on it and everything. And then you've got like Waking Lions and stuff like that. It's a bit harder. And then you've got the new one, the Let Chaos Reign. Again, it's sort of it's a bit more, it's more aggressive, but still within that like sort of rock genre. And I totally agree with you when people say that rock is dead. It's not. It's very much alive. It's just that when you come to sort of like popular culture, it's not within that scope. Like I've got a couple of young children, and they only listen to like rock bands that I'm playing. They're not, well, my older one is going out their way to sort of find more, but she's at that age now where she's kind of trying to find her own tastes in music. But, their friends aren't playing these songs. I can assure that.
Right. Well, you said it's interesting, a lot of times with rock, especially, it's the one genre of music that you can listen to with your folks. You know what I mean? Like there's not many parents that are listening to a lot of that pop stuff with their kids. No. They're buying it, sure, and they're taking them to the concerts. But I think about the first time I went and saw Leonard Skinner with my parents. It's like, wow, like this was to this day I still love Leonard Skinner. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's because lyrically it was real stuff. Like it's relatable to life, right? We're not talking about just shots that, number one, kids can't drink in the U.S. till they're 21, so they can't relate to that stuff. Like it's just, what I mean? There's songs that rockers have and bands have that really can be relatable for people at 5 years old all the way up to grandma and grandpa's age, So I think there's a beauty of that. Like you said, you can listen to this music with your kids. They're seeing you into the song and they want to be closer to their parents, like, wow, dad likes the song too. And they don't even realize it when they're that young. They just want to be cool like dad and mom, and it's such a good feeling as a parent to have that. And when we set out to write music, I never originally thought about that. But of course we do now, because there are a lot of little ones now that do follow the band and really come to the shows with their parents. And that's an honor, man, to be able to have that gift. Nice. But I think it's also an interesting thing with the band name. The band name's always been pop mainstream, like it's almost like we're robots, right? Like you go see corporate America, corporate Great Britain. It's like they want us to walk a certain way. They want us to look. When you look at what's in they buy the wardrobe in the showcase. They want us to. And pop's always been evil for us, which means whatever the mainstream norm is, that's evil. Like you have to think out of your box. You have to think out of the box. Yeah. Find your own identity. Find your place. And when there's been so many great bands that have come before us, how are you going to stand? How are you going to be different? And I think the true difference for us is we're all influenced by bands that we grew up on, right? Like we think about your iPod or your phone, the songs. You could go, if I was to go look through your songs, people would be like shocked that maybe, oh, you like that song? Oh my God, wait, you like that? And you're like, well, yeah, I do. I like all kinds of stuff, right? Yeah. Same thing with us. We're fans too. And we like playing all kinds of stuff. And I think it's cooler to me nowadays, evolving, to see bands that like, oh, wow, you played a country? I didn't even know that band could play. Oh, they played a hip. Wow. I didn't even know. Of course they can. They're musicians, play the songs. And, we grew up pop. People grew up playing covers. So we had to play everything on the spectrum just to make money. I mean, we were broke kids and we didn't want to work jobs. So we went and played. We wanted to just work our craft. So we'd go into the bars, we'd go in the clubs. And we'd play every song from I think that's how I learned how to write hits, because we were playing everything about a cover show is hit songs and hit covers. And you realize about what moves people from Ray, Spect. I mean, I've seen my grandma throw down to Pantera. She would not like Pantera, but she loves that song.
Yeah.
So it's like, like, wow, this is great stuff. Like what makes people come together? And it's melody, it's hook, it's fun, catchy choruses. That is truly the gift. And you learn that stuff when you play covers and you run the spectrum, right? You don't put yourself in a category. And I think that when I think back in the old days and what, a lot of, especially with rock, there's so much depression. There's so many bad things that a lot of these famous artists that we've all grown and idolized that they haven't been able to handle. Yeah. And to me, being one of those artists that are on the road playing songs all the time is very frustrating. It's nothing to look forward to when I have to go get ready for another album and I got to write another Waking Lions or I got to write another Trenches. I already have it. Yeah. It's already in the set. I already prove it nightly that I can rock, I can scream, I can throw down. What else? What haven't I proved? Well, I've never done a song like Work. Let's throw it down. It's got some EDM, it's got some drop, it's got some hip hop, it's got some grooves, but it's also got plenty of guitars and rock. When I think about all the hip hop dudes that I know, they always love the rock bands. They love our band because they're always like, we need more guitars in our stuff. I'm like, exactly. You need way more guitars, way more soaring vocals, and you need people that can sing in your songs. So it's like we always go back and forth about elements of each genre that we think we could add to theirs. They can add to ours to make it. So it's fun to like, and even the country friends I have, they're like, wow, it's so cool how you guys do this. It's when we're like, well, it's so cool how you guys do that. So it's when the bigger your band gets, you meet all these other people. There's so many talented musicians, and you always want to have your touch and spin on something they do. You know what I mean? It's just it's no different than having a feature. And I think that hopefully we're going to see a lot more of it as now it's become more of a singles business. I mean, you think about now how bands make a living. It's playlisting. It's YouTube. I mean, the first time I toured the UK, I was like, well, we don't get any radio here. Very minimal. And even my friends from the UK, they're like, yeah, but radio's not. And you would be one to tell me radio is different in the UK than it is in the US. It doesn't drive the musical world. And to me, people ask us all the time, they're like, what is the difference? Because they hear about how great European music fans are, especially European rock fans are, because every year US band goes home and brags about you guys because you guys are way better. And American fans understand that, and some of them get chapped about it because they, how that American pride, like we are the best, and they don't like not being the best fan. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand. You guys, America sits back and waits for fans, right? It gets spoon fed to them. Radio, and now it's changing probably, to some degree. But if I'm just like lumping it up, European fans, they're used to not waiting for things. They go find it. Yeah. Like you guys are going after your music. You're very diligent about like, hey man, I'm going to find it. I know it's not going to be just given to me out here easily for me to find at radio. I'm not just going to go turn on my station. I'm not going to go turn on my TV and there it is. You guys go find it. And because of that, there's definitely more of a passion to when you do find it, you own it. You're going to go buy the T-shirt. You're going to go to the live show. People are not like just, I'll go see them next time here. Like people understand. And a lot of their favorite bands overseas are American bands. Yeah. So they realize how expensive it is. And you guys have heard all the excuses, right? Oh, why don't you come play the UK? Oh, well, okay. Guess what? We've heard it. So when bands actually do make that sacrifice, you guys appreciate that differently. And you're like, we're going to go support them because we know how hard it was for them to get here. We're going to go support them. And not only you're just not going to go to the London show, you're going to go all over. You're going to see us. You're going to do the whole thing. You're going to get on the tram and you're going to come see us in every city around England to go do it. And you might even go take the train over and go see us in Paris. Yeah. You know what I mean? We've had tons of fans do the same thing. So it's definitely, there's a pride there for rock and their bands that is so infectious for us that like when we don't go to England or when we don't and get to Europe in general, our band gets upset. It's like, why are we not going there? And I know there's so many variables that play a role, but it's become such a thing we all look forward to because you almost need that. When you play for European fans, it's dude, you've been to American shows. Like, think about it. Like, at the start of an American show for an opening band, what do people do? Silence. You can hear the birds chirp. But, dude, an opening – I remember going over there for Five Finger. It was our first time we toured. And, again, Five Finger was still pretty big, but they weren't nearly as big as they are now. But they were still definitely packing rooms. But they had no idea who Pop Evil was. They were clapping before we hit the stage like it was a soccer game. I mean, these are events. This is chill stuff. And then, of course, when we came out, they're ready to throw down. They didn't even know who we were. I remember even did an interview in Paris, the first time I played Paris, and it was and we played the Bataclan before all that went down. It was just an epic room.
Yep.
First time there. And even the interviewer's like, look, it's your first time to Paris. I got to remember, you got to remember, it's kind of like playing New York and LA. It's not very good. People might not be there. They might not be into you right away. They were wrong. They were through the roof for us. They'd never seen us. They're singing the words because, again, people are going to the YouTubes. They're going to the channels. If they see you playing with the American bands that they love, they're going to look at you. Wow, this band must be, let me look into it. You know, people in the U.S. are a little lazier. They're like, oh, we don't show up for opening bands. That's not what we're doing. That's not what we're doing. We're here for Metallica. We're going to be here right at 10:50. If Metallica goes on at 10, we'll be here at 9:59. You know, it's like that's just the American way. Yeah. And it's just unfortunate. So trying to change that is doing interviews, letting artists speak that we understand, that we're watching, that we're not just giving you the stock answer. And that's the thing that that upsets me too with interviews is I don't think, again, I try to do every interview. And you know, bands, sometimes they don't even have the singer do it. They have somebody else that's not involved do the interviews. I think that's not going to help this. Like, people and fans are smarter than ever, right? They know, they're on our social media. They know what's going on. They're not stupid. They want to hear about what is real. And that's real. Like, we're watching as fans. We're watching you just like you're watching us. You know, and we want to tell you and educate, like, look, man, if you guys actually did this might help it. Fans will respond to that if you just tell them. Yeah. But if you give them the stock answer, like, how's the album? That's good, man. Cool. Here's the release date. You know, thanks a lot for the interview. Peace out. Like, that doesn't help, man. Like, that doesn't help this. Like, we all need each other to really change the dynamic. And I think that's another thing that frustrates me about where rock was. It's like, again, people were on stage, a lot of rockers on stage, like they're bigger than everybody and not wanting to do interviews, not wanting to do press, too cool for school. They show up late, first ones to leave. Guess what country artists were doing? They were sitting in these places and in these small bars, signing every autograph, taking every picture till the last person left. Till the last person left. They were doing all the interviews, doing it all because they weren't too cool. Look at where country is now. Yeah. Like, look where country is now. Look where rock is now. You know, it's just, again, we have to control our own destiny. We have to look ourselves in the mirror at the end of the day. Pop Evil ain't better than nobody. We're just trying to make music, man, that can make a difference. If you don't like our band, then go listen to someone else. It's that simple, dude. This isn't trying to make a vaccine for the COVID-19 here. That's real problem issues. We're trying to make music, dude. Like, it's simple and answers normal questions about the music. If you don't like our music, listen to something else. But if you respect what I'm saying, you respect the interview, and you like the music, then let's roll. Yeah. Let's roll. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, people make this so complicated, and it gets frustrating for me. And again, I just want to be honest, want to be real, spit it honest. And I think we do that on this record more than ever. I think this is a statement record for us. So excellent. I can't wait to get it out. And obviously I'll ramble. I'll talk you real on it today. But again, this is life for me, man. This is life for me. This is 24/7 full time.
I can definitely feel that. And this is why I like the long form interviews that I do with artists. Because, like, I could simply have, like, cut this to, you got a new song, it's great, awesome, you know, and that's it. You know, how's the pandemic, you know, that kind of stuff. But, you know, with the way you're speaking, the passion you have behind your words as well, which is, I mean, like, it's great. I mean, I like I said, I was a fan of your music beforehand. I'm looking forward to this album, and you know, and I'm just, like, going back to what you said, like, things like the life, like, we go after music as a sort of, like, culture generally to find it, especially the rock and the metal genre. And, like, when I was over in the States, I was kind of spoiled because, like, I would say spoiled, it was great because the radio was playing. Obviously, I discovered you guys. I discovered bands like Nothing More. Just like more, I knew about Shinedown, but sort of got into them more. And, you know, Blackstone Cherry and all that kind of, like, you know, the sort of heavy rock genre sort of side of things, along with, like, the constant classics that they play as well. But because you guys were on that playlist as well, it puts you in that echelon for me of, like, you know, you've got your Metallicas, you've got your Slipknots, you've got your Papa Roach and Limp Bizkit and all those sort of bands, and you guys are getting played alongside those bands as well on a regular basis.
Yeah,
which is amazing.
I mean, you're right. I mean, and it's a different era. You know, we came up and look, all those bands you mentioned in the upper echelon, they were around in the heyday, right? Yeah. So they're kind of, shoot, I mean, the reason you are writing about bands and are interested, the reason I'm doing it are because of a lot of those bands, you know, for both of us. You know, I mean, those were the bands that were our role models It's awesome that they're still doing it to this day, which there's so many that we loved back then with them that are not. But, we came up in a whole different era, right? Where the rock star or that big rock band wasn't really put on the pedestal the same way that those bands were. Look, they were in the heyday of the MTV generation. I mean, rock was pop back then. It was huge, and now it was definitely challenging. So to have us still played with them and have us lasted as long as we have, I mean, it's a huge honor. There's no doubt about it. But now it's like, okay, we have to educate, let it go, challenge those bands like you just mentioned to that we're growing too, right? We're not putting out stuff we put out on our first album or our second album isn't going to cut it now. No. You know what I mean? Like we have to grow these fans. And again, we need younger audiences. Like how are we going to grow and graduate when if we just get seen by the same crowd? And to be honest, a lot of people that are younger aren't listening to those any of those bands the same way. I mean, look, Papa Roach is a great example of how they've been able to reinvent themselves. Yeah. They went from look at so many of those bands around Papa Roach in that era are irrelevant to some degree. They don't do the same things. Look, Papa Roach just had hits just recently. They're still they've been able to continue and grow and challenge. And obviously I know Jacoby, he's an awesome guy. And it goes to show his passion and energy is very similar to mine. Like he's very diligent about understanding the trends, staying focused, trying new things. I mean, what was it? Born for Greatness, I think, was one of the recent ones that, again, totally different, experimenting with different sounds. He's always had a hip hop background himself, very similar to me. And he can sing. He's got the soaring vocal. He's not afraid to really dictate around his 16 or 8 bar phrasing in his verses. He'll spit, he'll sing, he'll move in and out of the pocket. I mean, those are great things that we study as lyricists myself, okay, we're not studying always the same rock guy. We're studying people outside of our genre to bring new elements to our genre. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because so many people in our genre, I mean, how are you going to be better than Chris Cornell? How are you going to be better than Eddie Vedder? How are you going to be, you're not. You know what I mean? It's the same thing those guys would say. How are you going to be better than Elvis? How are you going to be better than The Who? How are you going to be better? Everyone has it, right? You just have to be you. Yep. It's the fans will decide your era, who's good and bad. And you have to stand the test of time more than ever. I mean, you could shoot. If you would have told us back in our day, we put out 5 albums, you'd be like, man, you're retired and living in your gold crown. Now it's like you need 10 to 15 albums nowadays. It's like, and it's funny, you talk about Papa Roach, I mean, or even Five Finger. What are they? I think they're on Five Finger 8, F8 or something. Like so, they've already put out. Yeah, they've already put out 8 albums. My God. I mean, it's just and no one puts out albums faster than Five Finger. I mean, they play games, but still, it's like, it's just you need, and look how big they are, and there are only 8 albums. Like it's just it's such a different element. You got to just keep pushing. Got to keep pushing. Yep. And again, it's this business is about the next song, the next single, the next album. And nowadays, you can't make a comfortable living without having touring going by, right? You can't afford to have 1 or 2 big hits and then sit out for 2 years like pop artists can. Look at, I just read this article on Adele. Like, oh, yeah, she hasn't been here in 5 years. But dude, how can you afford that? Well, she sold bazillion. She sold in the millions, multi-million without even playing one show. I remember rock stars don't do that. Rock stars now are the janitors of the music business. We have to play every night. We have to play on the weekends. We have to play during holiday hours. Like that's how we grind, man. It's very blue collar. It's a very blue collar format. And we're proud of it. Yeah. We're not afraid to get our feet wet. We're not afraid to go clean the toilet with our hands. Like we'll scrub the toilet. Like we'll go do it. Let's go do it. Yeah. And all those bands that you said that are still around from the heyday, they weren't afraid back then. They're certainly not afraid now. No. And we try to take from that ourselves. Go ahead. Yeah, no, I was going to say it's like that. I mean, my background, I was in a band back in the sort of early 2000s, and we were in a sort of we were sort of like genrealized into the sort of new metal scene. So that whole rap metal thing, the hip hop element, I was actually the scratch DJ in the band, so I was very much the hip hop element. But the sort of like the toil that young bands go through that you don't sort of see a lot is that sort of like, we called it the toilet circuit in this country, where it's like, the small pubs, the small clubs, the small venues, basically that you go around for a few years, you hone your craft basically, and you kind of work your way up until totally,
and that's where kind of rock's going back to almost as well, which is, I guess it's kind of a good thing, because everything has to sort of go down before it goes up again. And we did have a boom like that new metal era was a boom for the metal industry,
Sure.
with Papa Roach, Biscuit, Korn, Incubus, Deftones, all bands that are still around today. And they're the sort of like what I would sort of say the current classics, if you will, because you've got your sort of like your heyday with Metallica, Megadeth, all that kind of like those bands and stuff like that. But that genre was like when I was a teenager, basically that new metal sort of like movement came in, and it just sort of like I'm just waiting for that next kind of like rise again, which I do see coming. There's a plethora of like quality music out there. It just needs to be discovered,
Well, I think too, the good things happen, at least from the U.S. standpoint, is look, we're finally getting, hopefully this pandemic doesn't slow this movement down, but we finally got some great promoters here that have studied the European festival circuit. Okay. So they understand about bringing more of us together and getting seen by as many people as possible. And let's be real, like people, I saw this thing the other day that said the average person sees their favorite live band twice in their lifetime. So you think about that, like that, the average, I mean, people are busy, right? You got kids, you're doing your thing. People got schoolwork, they got lives. They're not always going to concerts the way other people. So the average person maybe sees you twice in their lifetime, so if that's the case, the more we can get festivals around and they're putting, hey, man, I got 2 shows they're spending on, and more money's going to be tight for a lot of people, especially when this pandemic is over, that if they can only go to so many shows a year, they're going to go to those big festivals, right? There's so many people, even in the UK, hey, if I can't go to them all, I'm going to go to the big festivals. They wait every summer and they pick their ones and they go. So the thing was in the US when we started, I mean, the biggest festivals were probably around between 30 and maybe 40 if we were lucky, and now after studying, these great festivals that go anywhere between 100 and 200,000, the ones in Europe. And, if once they study that, now we've been able to get closer to over 50, 60,000 and plus, so now America is starting to get used to, wow, there's these big festivals now we can go and see all these bands together. I mean, we had a couple this year that Metallica was going to do 3 or 4 of them. We were on a couple with them.
Yeah.
And, of course, James had some rehab issues he had to attend to. And then, of course, the pandemic hit. So they've all been postponed anyways. Yeah. But when you can get those mega bands in, they obviously draw the let's say the average fan, right? The average fan is not doing this regularly. When you can bring those averages up and a lot more people can see all these other great bands underneath, guess what? Now they're more likely to maybe see you more than 2 times a year, right? Because they're like, wow, I had fun. That was a lot of fun. And again, obviously people in Europe have been doing this a long time and they go to way more than 2 shows. But that's a good sign that we can create this community and we can grow it from the inside out. And there can be more opportunity. Obviously, the more people that come, guess what? We don't have to play that toilet circuit, right? Because if those toilet circuit rooms start to sell out more and more, well, then guess what? Promoters are going to bump it up to the next bigger venue and so on. And then the more people you have, because that's what makes it really challenging, right? Because, I mean, let's be real. There's only so many bands that can headline arenas in the rock world, and they can't necessarily do it by themselves. Maybe there's just enough that you could count on one hand that could actually do it by themselves. And even them, they'd probably be arguing so that they would need help to support. So the more that we can create other big bands, the more likely you're going to get more people to come out. Because let's be real. I mean, if you can only have so many bands headline, then how many times do people want to go see that? I already saw Metallica. I already saw Bring Me headline it last year. You know what I mean? Like how many, there's only so many bands if we're not creating other bands that are rising alongside them. You know what I mean? Then it creates more opportunities for all of us and those bigger bands in the long term. Because let's be real. I mean, if you just squeeze the promoters for X amount of dollars and you're a big band, how many years do you have to sit out before you can get it again? You can't hit them up the next year. Can't hit them up arguably in 2 years. Yeah. And they just keep regurgitating before that band, is broken. You want to keep that band worth it and not being played out. And so there's a lot of things that we have to do together as a team, as a community, to create more opportunities for everyone, and especially the fans. So It'll be interesting. Look, we're just one band trying to do our part, but the more we can educate and one person at a time, one fan at a time, to understand that this takes everyone, that hopefully we can be one day closer. And if not for our band, hopefully for the next bands coming up, it gives them more opportunities to actually want to play a real instrument rather than just try to play a guitar on your smartphone, right? Like, let's be real. There's so many electronic and DJ things now going on that it really takes away from the beauty of learning a guitar, playing it in your parents' basement, and taking it to the main stage. You know, I mean, there's a beauty. There's something very American. There's something very British about. I mean, again, the two countries are so similar that, like, starting from the ground up, right? Like learning to play in your small, and especially in England, there's so many small spaces to find places to play. It's hard to find unless you're out, you know, in the valley, or you're out in the farm areas. So, like, it's hard to find places to play, you know, without people yelling. You're basically in those big cities in England, you're on top of each other. So but that's the beauty, right? It's finding a place to play, learning how to play your instrument, sometimes sucking at it in those circuit areas. And then next thing you know, you're playing for legions of fans, and you got good somewhere along the way. Yeah. That is rock. That is the beauty of it. That is the American way. That is the British way, man. Like, you just take it starts with the dream, and you take over the world. I mean, I can't tell you know, I mean, how many British bands have become massive successes over here, and you know how many American bands want to be massive successes your way. So it's an awesome. That never changes, right? So that's, I think, the beauty that we want to try to inspire the youth is to, pick up a real instrument, man. It can change your life. There's nothing cooler. I don't care how the world gets crazy. There's nothing cooler than being able to play the guitar, the bass, the drums. Nothing being able cool than to sing in your shower and taking to, hundreds of thousands of people. So again, man, it's just it's talk your ear off on this stuff.
No, it's right. I mean, it's the whole ethos of, like, the hard work pays off. Basically, it's
100%.
To sort of, like, summarize it in my way. I always say, like, whenever you're doing anything, especially if you're learning an instrument or anything like that. Like, I DJ, like, that was my thing. I'm a vinyl DJ, so it kind of, I'm a scratch DJ, if you will.
Sure.
And I put myself through like, just like last year, for instance, I put myself through putting a video of me doing scratch DJ stuff up online every day last year. And I made a point of doing it, like 365 days of it, and I did it. I went through and I did it, and I achieved it. But I could see from watching it from the first one to the last one, like, just sort of picking out random ones and seeing how much better I got at that sort of techniques and everything. I mean, I
almost think it's hard work, but it's also persistence pays off, right? Like, today's world is so, the haters are they have so much more access to everyone, right? Like, they'll put something up, like, we'll put a new video up on YouTube, immediately it's got hate on it. Of course, like, you're gonna see it. So you have to be persistent. You can't listen to any of it. Like you said, you're posting this up 365 days every day. Yep. Who cares what anyone else says? You're doing that for you. Yes, it's hard work, but it's also persistence. Like, you're not afraid to I got to keep going. This is my dream. I know I was born to do this. I have to prove it. I'm going to keep proving it to myself every day, and that's the challenge, and that persistence is hard work, and it leads to more. Obviously, you got to work harder to get better, and studying the game, studying why do the fans not like my one post, but they like this, like, okay, well, what am I doing that's working? What am I doing that's not working? So for sure.
Cool. Well, I've got a couple of questions left for you, Leigh, if that's all right, and I can let you get on with the rest of your day. But basically these are my sort of like roundup questions, if you will, the kind of like the generic ones. But what I want to find out, 3 albums that really kind of like shaped you in the musician that you became or have become, like the one that made you want to pick up a microphone, that sort of like, those sort of pivotal albums for yourself.
Yeah, they would have been Pearl Jam records for sure. I mean, right around the rock world. I mean, definitely the early Nirvana ones too. I mean, I think that was right around the time when I was, and again, I grew up in Michigan, so there was a lot of Kid Rock, Eminem, but before all that, it was, look, the Nirvana stuff happened, and who didn't get, especially it was all over the U.S., who didn't get affected by that in some way. That right around that was the time, because learning Nirvana songs were kind of easy. They were bar chords, so you could be like, oh, check out this Nirvana song I could play, so that was kind of fun. It took the I guess it was for being a Generation X youth. I was like, look, man, I can play this stuff. I can play the guitar. Like, this is cool. This is rad, and I could rebel on that. And then, of course, the Pearl Jam 10 or even Vitology was huge, because then that's when I really knew that I wanted to sing, and I mean, seeing that wild element of Eddie Vedder, that he could be wild, jump off stages and go in the crowd, but he could also have his eyes shut acoustically and just make you want to just cry your eyes out, because he could just, again, to me, he could go from the extreme left to the extreme right. He could give you the intensity that I always admired. Like, I was a singer, but sometimes I want to be reckless and break windows, but sometimes I want to just be cool and just be calm, like that was, Eddie controlled it. Like, he was able to go and basically turn into the Incredible Hulk and then be back to his other self, like within flipping a switch, so to speak. So those two albums were big. Obviously the Kid Rock albums were big. About the Wall was the Eminem albums were big for me, because again, that's when I started having my pride for my state. And again, that's big in the U.S. It's very state driven, from sports to music. It's like, look, this is my country, this is my world, and it may be a state to you, but this is my country. We're by the lake. This is Michigan. So you really develop that American state pride. So those kind of bands really made you, because when you grow up in Michigan or anywhere else other than New York or LA, or New York or California, it's like, you just like, I guess we don't even matter, because everything you hear in the U.S. is so LA, New York driven that it's like, well, I'm from Michigan. What happens there? Nothing. So when you get those bands that actually come from where you're in the backyard, you're like, yeah, it is cool that I'm from here, and I'm not from New York and LA, and I'm cool with that. So those kind of albums were very pivotal in me being okay with where I came from, and I think those were the earliest ones that kind of set up my passion.
That's a good diverse selection. I mean, you've got the kind of like the sort of the grungy rock with obviously the Nirvana and Pearl Jam side of things, but you've got the kind of crossover stuff. Like, you got Eminem, who did crossover with the rock crowd, and you got Kid Rock, who did literally have rap and rock in his music.
Yeah, 100%,
still does to this day. And no, I was actually going to mention Kid Rock earlier when we were talking about festivals and stuff, and him. I remember when I was over there, he had his tour, and it was only like $20 a ticket. He made sure it was only like $20. So that people could get in and watch the show. And it was him, I think Lynyrd Skynyrd or ZZ Top.
Yeah, I remember that too. It was a great tour.
Yeah, and I just like, it's just stuff like that, it's just kind of like, that sort of like attitude as well, of making sure that your sort of demographic of fans, they're not going to pay the $200 a ticket. Whereas here you get sort of like the sort of classic British bands. They come over, they say come over here, they live here, but they come here and they play, but the tickets are like £150, which is like $200. And you just like, just totally outprices like a lot of the sort of like, general fans on that front. But I thought that was a really good thing that he did on that front, just to sort of like.
He's definitely a favorite of mine. He's always been a people's person. He's from Detroit, right? So it's very, very blue collar, a lot of struggle. A lot of his friends around him, a lot of the people that are close with him. I mean, I'm friends with a lot of them myself. They're real people, They don't have the extra money to throw down, but they not only go to Kid Rock shows, they go to our shows too. But they go and they're there till the last song. They're there. We're getting the last beer at the table. Everybody's benefiting. So why rape those people in the wallet? You know what I mean? It's like, let's let those people have a good time. Let's not take advantage of them. And then when we come back and play again, they're going to come see us again. And he's very much been a pioneer of understanding the fan, and doing things. Obviously he's in a position to be able to do it too. He's a very, he's been very blessed. He's very well off to be able to do that. Not a lot of bands can do that, but he's always been a pioneer for trying to do what's affordable and give his fans the best experience. And he's one of the best live performers I've ever seen, hands down.
His live shows a lot of fun.
He's unbelievable for a guy to be able to do it and stayed relevant as long as he has. He's incredible. He's one of my favorites. I love Bob.
No, definitely. His show is a good fun show to go to.
For sure.
But yeah, no, that's what I just really liked. I just like the sort of like, obviously, like you say, he's in a position to be able to do that. And obviously not every band is. Yes. But like to bring him and like ZZ Top and everything, I was just like, this is for $20.
That's exactly. He's still got to pay them. He's still got to pay those bands.
So totally.
It's incredible that they were able to pull it off. And again, everyone loves Kid Rock and Bob, and they probably wanted to tour with him too. We played with him a handful of times over the years, and his musicianship. I mean, his persistence for excellence is always so fun to watch, and it's hard not to be like, even when you're not watching. And he's up there on the DJ booth scratching too. As a DJ yourself, you can appreciate that. It's like, dude, what can't this guy do? It's amazing, So it's fun to watch.
Awesome. Well, my last question for you, Leigh, is what hobbies do you have outside of music? So when you're not like doing pop evil related things, what do you do to kind of unwind?
Well, not counting the pandemic, because the pandemic has taken a lot of different situations, try to unwind, just getting outside. And Michigan's been kind of cold. It's finally warming up today, so I'm excited after the interview to actually go outside and do something without having to put a coat on. But normally golfing I do a lot of.
Cool.
That's been a nice release. Any kind of sporting thing, getting down to the lake, getting the bonfire out with the acoustic guitar, just getting to play a little bit. This has been nice about this quarantine. I normally am not playing, because by the time we tour so much that by the time I get home, I just want to see the fan. I don't want to have to go play, certainly not sing Pop Evil songs, but now it's been nice. When I play, I do like campfire versions of the songs, so I play them my way, just so I can. It's just more fun for me, because I can focus on the voice and singing the songs.
Cool.
So it's been fun to kind of get back on the guitar and get back to some of these campfire versions of these songs that I do. That it just makes it more fun, because I'm around more family and they all want to hear them. So I guess it's been nice, and of course with the new music, getting that done. So yeah, just that. I'm going to try to get golfing here this week now that things are reopening, but that's all I've had time for in the past 10, 15 years to do is golf extra. By then I'm back on the thing. So it'd be nice to do some other things here if I get the year off, to just kind of see what else I can do, man.
Nice. Yeah, I play golf myself, to be honest with you. So,
dude, we'll have to go, man. Next time we're out there, we'll have to go. The best courses are your way, so for sure.
They are. Florida had some nice ones. I'm not going.
Yes, I was just going to say. Well, Florida, you were kind of like with Florida, did have some good ones for sure.
Yeah, no, we got some nice ones where I live. My brother used to be a pro, so it's kind of in the family, if you will. I'm not very good. Like I'm all right. I can hit the ball, but
sure. You're better than me. I'm sure. I'm probably triple bogey these days. I was about bogey when I stopped, but I'm probably triple bogey now, man. Who knows?
No, my putting lets me down. So
yeah.
My long game's brilliant. It's fine. I can hit that ball. But the short game,
days.
No. Cool. Well, Leigh, thank you very much, mate. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, man. No problem.
Absolutely fantastic to speak to you. Like I said before, I'm a fan of the band, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
I love hearing it. Well, my pleasure likewise.
And,
right back at you.
Yeah, good luck with everything. Hopefully once this whole thing blows over and the world reopens, we'll have you guys over here. And I'll be there.
I look forward to that, man. I look forward to meeting you in person as well.
Cool. Excellently. Thank you very much, man.
Sound good. Be safe for you and the kids and the fam, and hopefully we'll see you then soon.
You too, mate. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye now.